Hello, everyone. Welcome to Icon Contemporary Dialogue, our IG Live series. Today, we are joined by Priyanka Matthew, who I see is not yet on the call. I'm sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. Hi there, Pulak. Pulak is there. Kea is there from Dhaka. A lot of people joining us right now. Welcome, everyone. This is Icon. There, I see it. No, it is a request, but from the wrong person. I'm expecting one from Priyanka Matthew. Priyanka, are you on the call? Let me see if I can find you. Doesn't look like you're there right now, but anyway. So we are going to be talking to Priyanka about this art in restaurants and other settings that she's doing. Hi, Abhishek. Yes, Priyanka, it's always a little bit of a technical stuff, even though Priyanka and I have been testing the circuitry, the wire, but I still waiting. So anyway, so we'll be talking about stuff she's doing. I'm also very excited, just as some housekeeping to get out of the way. There I see Priyanka is there, and let me go live with. Next week, same time, we will be doing this with Ashish Avikuntak. Okay. I'll talk about that more towards the end of the IG Live. For now, I see that Priyanka is on the call. Priyanka, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Not at all. Thanks everyone for joining. So it is a Saturday morning here in New York, and it is 8:30 p.m. In India. And welcome everyone to our Icon Live, IG Live, Icon Contemporary Dialogue series. We are joined by Priyanka Matthew, for whom this is kind of a little bit of coming back home, because Priyanka used to be Icon's gallery director for many years, for many. How many years was that, and when to when was that, Priyanka?
From 2005 through 2009.
Mm,
Long time. A
long time.
very significant time of Icon's arc because you were Arts India when I joined you
Correct.
on the fifth floor in Madison Square Park of a lovely
Correct.
building. And
Correct.
then a lot of changes under the
A lot of
time that
changes
we
happened.
shared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so you also, that job with us was your first job in the arts,
Yes,
but not,
absolutely.
but not the last. So since then, you basically now made a career of it. And
Yeah.
so tell us about that. Tell
So
us about your
actually,
journey.
I'd love to share. I think, Projol, you have a lot to do with my pivot into the art world because I don't know if you remember, yes, it was you. You came to a show that I had put up with my friends, a theater company that we ran, Alter Ego.
Correct.
That's how we met and connected. And a few weeks later, you emailed me saying, "Hey, we have an opportunity." And it was interesting because I was always somebody who kind of had an equally right brain, left brain thing. So my career previous to this was in the investment banking field. I was at Lehman Brothers and then Goldman Sachs. I was an analyst putting in crazy hours. It's a story everybody knew, but there was definitely a creative side of me that was not being fed, which is why I joined this theater company,
Mm,
which is where Projol met me. And it was interesting because when Projol emailed me, I really had hit this moment in my life where I felt like if I stayed any longer in the finance field, I wasn't going to leave, and that I had to take a leap of faith and try something new. The safety net was okay. I'd put a year and then I'd go back to business school and funnel back into finance. But I joined you, and it was really the rest of my life is different because of that decision. And I really thought I wasn't going to stay for more than a year. It was going to be an experiment. But I had joined at such an exciting, critical moment in the Indian art world. 2005, 2006, the run up to about 2009 was this incredible, both from, the perspective of the art that was being created, but also this bull run in the market
Correct.
where we just saw price, we saw the first painting, Mahisasura, sell for $1 million. Then we
Correct.
saw other paintings join. We saw the Bombay Boys, frankly, Icon Contemporary held the first show of the Bombay Boys outside of India in New York, which is the art capital. I
Correct.
was there for that. There are many firsts in the history of Indian art world that Icon Gallery has had outside of India that I was lucky to be around for. And I keep telling people this, I subsequently, and I'll share the experiences I've had subsequently, but the credibility that I got in my next positions in the art world really came from the opportunities that Icon gave me, and that I handled some of the last shows of the Masters. I remember running for Hussein's Chai and, having done a show with Raza. Uh, you
So, hey,
know,
listen,
yeah.
I don't want us to dwell too much in history. This is great stuff, but we don't want to be two old people
Okay.
reminiscing. And I also want to say a quick hello to Karen, a fellow traveler, Karen Talvar, who ran the Bodhi shop in New York for a while, also from that time and those heady days. But she's on this call, as are a bunch of other friends who will remember sort of New York, and New York being like a frontier, a final frontier of Indian contemporary art in those days of 2005, 6, 7, and amazing things going on. But
Right.
I want us to look at what you're doing now.
Okay.
What
Well,
is
let me finish the story really
okay,
quick.
okay,
So
okay, okay, okay.
I
But
did that.
okay.
It's after that. So a lot of I mean, I think a lot of foundational things were happening for Indian art outside of India during this time.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2009, I moved on from Icon and I joined Sotheby's, which
Correct.
was, and then eventually went on to become their senior international specialist and an auctioneer there. So I've had kind of these various roles in the art world, both in the gallery space and the auction world. And then in 2016, I decided to sort of step out on my own and test my experience and skills. And so now I run a advisory called Sunderland, and that's where I am right now.
Wonderful. So, folks, those of you who've been following us or who have been catching this show every Saturday, we have kind of, and these things kind of happen more organically than with great deal of planning, but we have had, I would say, business people, not artists, but people in the business of our business. Hugo Way, then Keshav Mahendru, and now Priyanka. And next week, we go back to talking to artists. We'll be talking to Ashish Avikuntak, who is a filmmaker, experimental filmmaker, and one of the gallery artists. But for now, we are still talking about the business of contemporary and modern Indian art, of selling it there. And we're talking to Priyanka Matthew, who used to be with Icon and now runs her own outfit called Sunderland. So, what has been Sunderland up to most recently that is exciting you?
Well, the most recent project that we've taken on in an attempt to bring art to audiences outside of traditional art viewing spaces. So
Mm-hmm.
we've tied up with a restaurant in New York, which is just opened called Sona.
Wow.
Sona is the brainchild of a gentleman called Manish Goyal, who ran, a marketing company for a while. Is extremely well connected in New York, but very excitingly, he's partnered with Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who really
Different
bring
Priyanka from this from
different
our
Priyanka,
show, but yes,
much more glamorous and
I don't know
world
about that,
renowned,
but
world renowned. So the idea here is, so Priyanka and Manish have sort of come up with this incredible concept, and the restaurant's taken off. It's got massive amounts of press, and it's really kind of like set ablaze the restaurant scene in New York.
okay.
And we are running their art program, which is a very unique kind of idea, though I would say not something that's not, I mean, the idea of like having beautiful surroundings, including art when you're having a sumptuous meal is something that goes back centuries, like the Maharajas would eat with like great surroundings. So we're running an art program that circulates contemporary and modern art from India to kind of piggyback on the exposure that the restaurant's getting to both New York audiences and contemporary audiences. And so it's just another opportunity for the artists that we love and want to support to get some attention.
I see. And what are the works? Do you have some pictures of Sona? What are the works that you're
So
showing
we
there?
have right now we have 5 works on view. We have the sort of the showstopper of the restaurant is, of course, something that Icon Contemporary was very kind to to loan us, a work by Rajan Krishnan. And I guess what we could do is I could go, hold on, let me see.
Sure. And while Priyanka is doing that, Rajan Krishnan, for those of you who don't know him, passed on, but was based in Kochi. He went to MSU Baroda for his training, and then went
There
back
we
to
go.
Kerala. There is a
So
wonderful
that's
picture.
Sona. It's the website, but that's how the restaurant's looking. It's really become kind of a hot story on the kind of hospitality scene now that the pandemic's over. Um, you
And
know,
between those two globes, the two globe lights, you saw a
yeah,
painting on the right wall, and that is a painting by Rajan Krishnan.
yes.
He painted scenes from his childhood of growing up in Kerala, and that particular painting is, I think it's called "Tree by the Grove" or
It's Plant from the Grove by the River, number 4.
Plant from the Grove by the River. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the Rajan Krishnan. So do you think that have you had what sort of a response have you had? Have people uh, either the restaurant people? How do people get in touch with you if they are interested? And how do you think that this will go forward?
So the program is on the website, right? So if you go on the website, um, so I'm gonna switch around again. So we have, a specific space dedicated on their website that's getting
Uh-huh.
a massive amount of traffic. So that's a lovely, another one of my favorites, a beautiful
Swaminathan, yes.
painting by Swaminathan, Shobha Bruta. This one's an epic lithograph from the 1960s that was in Masanori's collection.
Wonderful.
So, it is essentially, oops, sorry, I'm not
That's
seeing the
Priyanka's
rest
collection right
of
there.
my. Yeah, so right now it's for example, the Rajan Krishnan's kind of the Instagram painting. We're seeing it all over social media because people who come, the celebrities who come, or people who kind of heard this massive buzz about Sona, want to kind of register that they're there. So the picture, the place that they take the photograph is in front of that like massive kind of 7-foot painting, and it's all over Instagram. Um, the
Do
everything
they
in
tag it?
they do.
Do you
They tag it to Sona. They tag it to Sona, but like, like with everything, every new initiative that's breaking kind of the mold of how things are done, this is kind of going to be like a slow process where it's word of mouth and a little bit about like, I mean, ultimately it's a restaurant and they're just launching, so they have to get on their feet and be sustainable. But everybody at the restaurant is very passionate about the program. The maitre d' knows, the general manager knows, and so it's very much a part of the conversations that they're having with the guests and the atmosphere. And
so
yeah, it's early days, so
let's
we'll see.
pivot from that and let me ask you how do you think or what do you think the pandemic's influence is going to be on art consumption, art exhibition, art production? Do you think the art world, especially our world, modern and contemporary art from the Indian subcontinent and the surrounding geographies, is it going to be impacted in any long term way from the pandemic? by the pandemic?
I mean, absolutely. As in everything, the pandemic has sort of acted as a catalyst to push us into sort of a new kind of paradigm of living, whether it be in the way that we do business, in the way that we um, work from home. I don't think that's going to go away and we're going to go to the way things were before the pandemic. We're going to be in some sort of hybrid. And with art, I think, there were spaces that net kind of got hurt by the pandemic and that really were kind of helped. And I think art was a space that was helped. I certainly felt like the number of people stuck at home who didn't have anything to do, and the audience that was open to acquiring new paintings became bigger because everybody was in their homes and they kind of wanted to be around stimulating things. And so it definitely helped kind of in the trends of acquiring paintings. There were a lot of moves. For example, there are, the galleries in India, a lot of the contemporary galleries in India banded together and created online platforms. So Tap India is one of a fantastic platform that came out of some of the discussions we were having around the pandemic. In Touch, which features galleries like Chemold and galleries in India like Vadera. So there's sort of I feel like there's a lot of there's been a bit of organization in the Indian art world and a pivot towards more kind of presenting things online. In the larger art world, I think there's a definite shift from analog to digital. And so you're seeing now the auction houses take on, sales of NFTs and that making headlines. So there have been like seismic shifts in the
How has it
pandemic.
impacted sort of your business, your day-to-day functioning, or has it not?
It hasn't, because see, my model was always kind of very bespoke and working with certain clients, and I don't have a gallery space. For most part, for me, a painting is a project. I take on certain works that I'm very passionate about and then represent them. And so it hasn't really changed so much for me from the day to day, except for increase the volume of my work because a lot more people are looking to acquire art right now. So that's just made me a little more busy. Busy.
I see. So you think that there is more work right now for you
Yeah.
in this moment?
Yeah. I
I,
definitely think
I
it's
see.
become busier. Yeah.
I see. And do you think that this is how it's going to be? So, for instance, I've been fascinated with the art, um, with the art fairs, which had come to be such in contemporary art, especially such dominant players.
Yeah.
You had to be in the art fairs. You had to be in the good art fairs. That's where a lot of the buying and selling for many galleries. Certain galleries even shut down their regular gallery spaces and just did the art fair circuit and maintained a small back office.
Hmm.
Um, what does that? What happens to art fairs now?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because one of the things that I've certainly tried to do in my sort of new independent role is try to become more a member of sort of the larger um, uh, ecosystem of the art world outside of sort of the Indian space. So in fact, the
Mhm.
last three major deals or sales that I did, one was to an Israeli, one was to a Brazilian, the third was to a Parisian. So it's really trying to break out and see what's happening. And the conversations I'm having with practitioners outside of the Indian art world, like everybody, we had come to a point in the sort of art fair circuit that it had just reached this crescendo which was not sustainable. There were so many art fairs and the gallerists sort of felt like they were just spinning wheels going from one fair to the next, because that was really where they were getting exposed to new clients. Really, their own gallery spaces were shells. The business was getting done outside of it. And in a sense, and you hear people like Brett Corby, and I mean, I just had a conversation with Sundaram around this. Um, they really feel like it's a blessing in disguise to kind of have this like massive pause and feeling like this whole art fair circuit needs to be restructured a little bit. There need to be less fairs and sort of a pivot back to more sort of gallery centric kind of showings and activities. So I definitely think even with the fairs, there was this experiment to see if they could move it online. So, for example, I'm very close to the Frieze people, and they pivoted to have the galleries online. And from what I heard from them was that the gallerist felt that it was a completely different thing to be walking around the fair versus getting on a online platform and going through various galleries and seeing what they had online. They weren't getting the same kind of responses. So, yeah, I mean, I think, it's like a bull in a china shop. That's what the pandemic's done to structures within the art world. And on the outside of it, we'll see things being built differently and, a little bit more kind of efficiently, I feel.
But you don't have a prediction to make. You're not saying
Uh,
this
my
is where.
prediction is my prediction is it's going to be a hybrid because clearly there are, things with art you can't substitute to see something online. Like it is very tactile. Like ultimately you have to experience art in the flesh and like that will still remain. But certainly a lot more people are doing kind of business, from sort of online resources. So I think it'll be some hybrid of the way we were and the way we were in the midst of the pandemic.
So for a individual like yourself who is a small business owner, this is a blessing. This is
Yeah.
great because you actually, even the folks that have gallery spaces are not really going to be using that very much,
No.
and right?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, when I left Sotheby's in 2016, I consciously, it was a very conscious and specific decision for me not to have a gallery space because the model I wanted to follow is I wanted to show art, which is why Sona is attractive to me, the whole project. I wanted to show art the way it should be lived with. So, the first set of things that I presented were, frankly, I've just moved, but frankly, from my loft in Greenwich Village. I hung them amongst my own things, my own kind of like things that I owned, eclectic things from all over the world. But when I hung them, I used my skills from the gallery and the auction worlds in terms of lighting and presenting. So again, I in a sense feel like the world is catching up with my model, because that's now, not doing it in a white cube gallery space seems to be kind of the way that things are trending. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And what is next on your horizon? What's next Sona or next? What's the next project that you're working on?
There are a few projects that I'm working with a few collectors. I'm managing a few collections, and a few collections in India. I'm working with a few auction houses. So they're just things that I'm doing across the board.
Mm. All right. Sounds super secretive, all very pronouns and no proper nouns. And but that's great. I take away from you a general sort of note of a high note that things are going well, and you're not post pandemic. You're not particularly fearful of the future, but you're kind of embracing it.
Well, I
Um,
think for me, I'm excited. I'm always excited when you we like we're even when I was at the auction houses, I remember when I'd come in to do the catalogs there was this tradition where we, start our catalogs with Germany Roy's and then move on to the greats. And I remember one of the first things I did when I had control over the catalogs was to break that up and like change the sequence and put like, kind of an interesting, thought-provoking work of art first and then do it. So for me, this is fertile time when things have sort of been challenged and restructured. There's opportunities to grow in different ways. and to grow bigger and more healthy. So I feel like it's not just me, but like all of Indian art is poised to kind of do better, reach out more effectively to the rest of the world, support their artists better. So yeah,
Wonderful.
my
I can only
thoughts.
say amen to that. We are pulling up close to our time here. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and do some housekeeping. So, Icon Contemporaries dialogue series continues to go live at the same time next week as well. We have um, commissioned or asked our artists who work in the video format to make short films, about 2 minutes long. And we will be posting these to the gallery website, to the gallery YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/icon contemporary, to our Instagram TV. So just creating products and creating art that you can consume at home, you can consume on your small device, wherever you may be. And the first of these films is called Reincarnation 1. And it is by Ashish Vikuntak Chatta. For those of you who don't know him, he is an experimental filmmaker. He teaches film at the University of Rhode Island and has a PhD from Stanford, has taught at Yale, has shown at the Locarno Festival and plenty of other festivals. He shows in Bombay with Mort at Chatterjee and Lal. He shows with Experimenter in Kolkata. So anyway, a serious artist, and I will be talking to him on Instagram Live, and we will also be dropping this over the week. So keep an eye out for that. And this is the first of a few more that we are planning to drop short films. So that's going to happen. And today we were with Priyanka Matthew, who most currently is doing an art program for a brand new hip and hot restaurant in New York called Sona, where she is showing works of J. Swaminathan. If I start with sort of the oldest and sort of best known artists, Rajan Krishnan, Raghu Rai, and Shobha Bruta. All wonderful works. So, where is the restaurant again, Priyanka?
The restaurant is on 20th Street between Park and I think so. Essentially, 30th East 36 East 20th Street is the address in New York.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah,
Go check it out. Check out the art there.
the food is great, so definitely go. Prajol, you'll attest to that.
Yes, I've been a couple of times myself already, but and was very delighted to collaborate after a long time with Priyanka on this. So go see the art there, and thank you so much everyone for joining. Thanks Priyanka for
Thank you for
coming
having
online.
me.
This will remain archived on the IGTV channel of Icon Contemporary, so you guys can see this. Priyanka, you can post it, repost it, etc.
Cool.
So thanks everyone,
All
and
right.
we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.